I have two primary passions in life. One is trying to solve problems. The other is traveling. And, when I can, trying to solve problems while I travel. When you've been traveling as long as I have, to over 100 countries, been to everywhere you ever want to be, and now that all that's left is ones you don't particularly had on the top of your list, you start revisiting, you start wondering and questioning why you're doing those things again, or how to sustain a digital nomad or an expat lifestyle in the long term without returning to your home country and just going back to the status quo, getting that white picket fence, that house, that mortgage, and just settling down. Not to say that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that there is an alternative lifestyle. There's a global sort of nomadic lifestyle that's available to people for as long as they want it, and it can be sustainable, it can be healthy, and there's different ways to explore the world. It's not just the physical world, not just taking pictures in national parks and beautiful waterfalls and near water fountains in the cities and, you know, on the beaches and exploring things and going to the carnivals and eating the food and the music. Those are amazing ways to travel, and that's a great part of the world. But there's more. There's more to be learned. And I want to explore everything that's available to me and not just go to a country, take some photos and leave. I'd like to actually think I learned something. My palate changed from the food. I tried some things that I didn't necessarily like at first and I came to love. I listened to some music for a while. It's about changing your tastes. Because if you go back home and you like all the same food and all the same music and all the same things, you really you've kind of missed out that opportunity to really explore in a way that changes you. So I want to make my channel about entrepreneurs and explorers, about cool people I run into as I travel around the world, and I try to learn more about how to make my dreams into a reality, about how to make business ideas I have come to fruition, about just learning as I see kind of cool things as I go around the world, like, oh, that's a different way, a different approach that you can have to making things happen. And so I wanted to make my channel about primarily about entrepreneurs and explorers, about people who want to add value to society and make a contribution whichever way they choose. And so there's just so many different ways to do it, and a lot of tips and tricks that kind of universally help out anyone who's trying to make an impact. Now, by entrepreneurs, I mean that in the most general ways, about people who are trying to innovate to solve a problem, whatever they have in their life. Whether it's trying to come from a meager background, build a business, and make it out to market in something that can be replicated all around to be very profitable and take advantage of what was otherwise humble way of living has now become a tourist attraction in Chiang Mai. This is northern Chiang Mai. You got to try to find where you're needed and where innovation is happening, where you can contribute. Basically, I just mean people who want to solve problems. So I'm going to be talking about business, the difference between cultures and certain issues, the difference between what it is like to start a business in Southeast Asia, what it's like to start a business in South Africa, these sorts of things, like these things that can actually help entrepreneurs who perhaps don't want to follow the traditional route of going to Silicon Valley, or they get Series A funding or seed funding, they want to go and make it last longer, show the investors that they care about the value of that money and that they want it to go as far as possible. They get their team out here in Southeast Asia, you get great internet, great food, great housing, amazing cost. That money goes much further and they're able to launch that product under far less stress and under a wider timeline. There's just so many opportunities for entrepreneurship globally. There's so much opportunity to innovate and to talk about new technologies and how they're being applied, how solar technology is doing in China, how a lot of satellite technology is being used in India by their space program to provide farmers with data and resources. There's just so much out there, and I want to learn more about it, and I want to share it. And by explorers, I don't mean just physically exploring the world, which is beautiful and gorgeous, from the Sahara Desert to Ghana to Brazil and South America and Ecuador and Thailand and you know, Egypt and Kuwait and, you know, Mongolia and China. I know the beauty of the natural world. I have experienced it firsthand. It is amazing and astounding, and it will change you. But there's more to travel than the aesthetics, than the visuals, than just the food, you know, just the music. There's more than the sensory applications. There is more to it. There's a deeper layer. And that is often involved in the society and the politics. And I don't mean that in a way where you should take a position on anything. I mean that in a way that you can look at them as an outsider and try to appreciate how people are innovating or adapting to their environment and actually apply those values to your own life and actually contribute to positive changes and wherever you go. Now, I'm not a fan of ideology. I'm not a fan of taking sides on political views because I'm generally in the public interest, and the human interest is pretty much universal on most core issues. It's the same everywhere. People are trying to feed their populations better, educate them better, and it's just not always working out in the way. And there's people who are exploring and navigating these issues, and I want to be there to support them and to talk about what a great work they're doing. Everyday people can benefit from that insight, from people who took a risk, tried to make their life better, and may or may not have succeeded, but there's a trying is the biggest part of life, and that is something that I would like to share. So it's about cool people doing cool things and full-on combat with problems.